Kababayan Today, for the month of October, it's Filipino-American History Month. That's why we want to bring to you information about our heritage in this great land. Kaya naman pag-uusapan natin ngayon ang mga Pilipino that settled in Louisiana. So St. Malo was a small fishing village that existed in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, on the shore of Lake Bourne from the mid-18th century colonial period into the early 20th century, when it was destroyed by the New Orleans hurricane of 1915. It was the first settlement of Filipinos in the United States. Today, we learn about the Madriaga family. Get to speak to Rhonda Lee Richoux today to talk about being a descendant of the Filipinos that settled in Louisiana. And I'd like to read a quote from this document that she created. She says, "My interest in capturing my family history was born in the colorful stories of Great-Grandma Rosie that when she told me when I was a child. Interest increased the years as I saw each family elder die, taking their individual stories with them. And I began to research and collect as much information as I could find to compile a genealogy report for my family to read and enjoy. The report I produced at the time of the reunion fell short of my goal, but it was enough to hold the interest of everyone who viewed it. And now here on Kababayan Today, we want to share her story to all of you. So, kasama natin on the phone from Chalmette, Louisiana, Rhonda Lee Richoux. Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. So it's Filipino-American History Month. We're celebrating the whole month of October. And of course, we want to give tribute to your family who settled in Louisiana a long time ago. So through your research, when did your family first come to Louisiana?
Well, according to my great-grandma Rosie, her grandfather shipped into the port of New Orleans several times in the mid-1800s. And he, on one of his trips, he met a young Irish girl named Bridget Nugent, and they settled in Louisiana somewhere around 1849 and started their family.
Okay, so that makes you how many generations of Filipinos living in Louisiana?
I'm the sixth generation.
The sixth generation. Wow, what a legacy that is. How are you able to keep your Filipino legacy alive, being that you're now sixth generation?
So New Orleans, when I was growing up, had a very strong Filipino community, and we belonged to a lot of the goodwill societies that catered to the Filipino community. So I grew up eating Filipino food, going to dances, going to community events and everything surrounding our Filipino club.
Okay, so Rhonda, talk to me about wanting to document your genealogy and why that's important to you and to other kababayans.
I think I've always felt like if you know where you came from, you can better learn where you're going to go, because in Louisiana, we live in an environment that can destroy us in a day. We've been wiped out. I've been wiped out twice recently by Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Isaac. And when I first started this, it was just a small project for my family reunion. But as I got into the history and I saw how many times these people had to rebuild after a storm, it really gave me strength, and I wanted to know more about these people. And as I actually saw their names on documents, all of the stories that my grandmother gave me just came alive. It was like it wasn't just stories anymore. These are real people, and they were connected to me, and I could gain strength from their history. So that's why it was important for me, and it was important for me to pass our heritage on to the new generations. I didn't want them to forget their Filipino roots. I thought that was very important.
Yes, well, amazing to me to learn that the Filipinos first settled in Louisiana in the mid-1800s. This is history that we all need to know about. Okay, so I encourage all the Filipinos out there, kausapin nyo po yung mga magulang nyo, yung mga lolo at lola nyo, because it's important. We are a community where our oral traditions and history is passed through communication. So it's so important that we talk to the elders to know about our story. And sometimes it needs prompting because alam mo naman ang mga mas matanda minsan ayaw magkwento. That's why it's our job, the younger generation, to ask questions. So before we end, talk to me a little bit about what your grandma Rosie used to tell you growing up.
Well, she told me about how hard but how wonderful the life was. They would work in the shrimping villages, mostly Manila village, during the shrimping season, and then they would actually go across the river to the Wilkinson plantation where her father was a overseer, and they would work the sugarcane fields together as a family. And then she and her husband had a tailor shop in New Orleans, so they would go from New Orleans to Jefferson Parish, where Manila Village was, to Plaquemine Parish, where the Wilkinson Plantation was, and that's the kind of life that they lived. And my great-grandma loved it. She could speak fluent French, Spanish, English, and some of her father's native tongues.
Okay.
Because they had to do a lot of trading with the local people.
I see. Well, it's like I mentioned, it's so important that we talk to the older generation. Rhonda, thank you so much for doing what you do, documenting your history, because us kababayans can learn from it. So maraming salamat for talking to us on Kababayan Today.
Well, thank you for being so interested.
All right. Mga kababayan, I hope you learned a little bit about our heritage in Louisiana. Pagbalik naman natin, makakausap ko ang mga anak ng mga pensionados. To know about what the pensionados is, you have to stick around here on Kababayan Today as we celebrate Filipino-American History Month. Magbabalik po kami.